Welcome back dear students for today's session. In this session we are going to discuss one more very important topic pertaining to the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So today we are going to talk about pollination. So before going to the topic, let me remind you in the previous classes what we have discussed. See, we have discussed about how does the male gamete, that is the sperms, and the female gamete, that is the eggs or the ovum, are formed through different processes. That is, we have discussed about the microsporogenesis, how it is important for the formation of the male gametophytes, and megasporogenesis, how it is important for the formation of the female gametophytes. So we know male gametophytes are pollen grains. Inside the pollen grains, from the generative cell, there is formation of male gametes. And the female gametophytes, that is the embryo sac, inside them there is the formation of the ovum or the egg. So now, why pollination is important? Pollination is important because after the formation of the male gamete and the female gamete, they both have to come together. They both have to meet for the fertilization process to occur. So that's where the pollination becomes important. Now, my dear friends, let us firstly understand what is the definition of pollination. For this, I will make you understand in a very simple manner. Let us consider this as plant A and this as plant B. So here, we can consider just a rough structure and just to represent, we can draw rough structure of flowers just for representation. So we can define pollination as the transference of the pollen grains from the anther of one flower to the same flower's stigma, or the transference of the pollen grains from the anther of one flower of a particular plant to the different flower of that particular plant itself, or further it can be transferred from the anther to the stigma of the another flower of different plant, or through pollinating agents. For example, it can be through wind, or it can be through water, or it can be through insect, or it can be through any other means. So fine. So this is what we call it as pollination. So let me tell you now, my dear friends, the exact definition of pollination. It is the transference of the pollen grains from the anther to the receptive stigma of the same flower of the same plant, or of a particular plant, when we consider to the different flower, or the transference of the pollen grains from the anther to the receptive stigma of another flower or of the different plant is what you term it to as the pollination process. So pollination, my dear friends, can be further divided into two types. That is the autogamy and the allogamy. So firstly, we have the autogamy. So further, autogamy can be classified into two types, that is homogamy and secondly cleistogamy. So it's very simple. Homogamy means to say, let us consider a plant. Okay, we have a flower. So the male gametes are in fact released through pollen grains, we know anyway. When pollen grains are released, they come and in fact deposit onto the stigma of the same flower. So that is what we call it to as autogamy, or in simple sense we can refer that as self-pollination. So now, my dear friends, let us understand what do we mean by homogamy. Homos refers to here same or similar. Rather we can say it to as similar. So here the maturation of the anther and the stigma will take place at the same time. That is why it is called as homogamy. So when the maturation takes place same time, and when the stigma and the anther, they are very close with each other, then definitely the self-pollination will occur. The flowers which are formed through the homogamy are referred to as the chasmogamous flowers. So what we can see or observe here is the stigma and the anther are very well exposed. So here above the ground level there is formation of the fruit flowers and the fruits. Anyway, so that type of flowers where there is the anthers and the stigma are exposed to the environment, we call that type of flowers as chasmogamous flowers. Let me give you a few examples. So the best examples which we can bring out here are oxalis and viola. So next we have cleistogamy. So cleistogamy is another type of self-pollination or autogamy. So wherein we can find that the anther and the stigma, they are not exposed, and they are generally underground. They are produced underground. The flowers can be seen underground and they are not exposed to the environment. First point. Second point is the anther and the stigma is not exposed, as we found in the case of the homogamy, that is in the case of chasmogamous flowers. So here the flowers and the fruits which are formed are underground. The fruits and the flowers which are formed underground are referred to as cleistogamous flowers. Cleistogamous flowers. So for example, let us understand. For examples, we have groundnut, or you can say we also have camelina, or even in fact balsam. So all these examples can be given for the second type of self-pollination, that is the cleistogamy. So this is about the self-pollination. Self-pollination we refer that to as. So now further, let us also understand few advantages of the self-pollination. So rather, in fact, before starting to tell about the advantages of self-pollination, let me tell you that self-pollination is better than no pollination. First point. Second point, self-pollination is important in the plants which are high yielding, one point, and which are of genetic importance. So their self-pollination or autogamy becomes highly essential. Second point, my dear friends, let me tell you the disadvantages of self-pollination. Self-pollination does not result in genetic variability. Variations generally are not at all seen with respect to self-pollination. This is one point. On the other note, they do not have evolutionary significance also. Variations are very important for further evolution. So for the transference of, when the transference of characters occurs from the parents to the offspring for many generations, if there are no variations, there is no significance which is involved with respect to evolution. So self-pollination generally does not play such significant role in evolution. So there is no recombination of characters. Characters do not combine, because self-pollination generally produces characters of a particular plant, of the same plant. Generally we cannot find variations, as because we don't combine the characteristics of two different plants. So that's where it becomes essential to understand the self-pollination. Next, my dear friends, let us discuss about one more important type of pollination, that is allogamy. So in other sense, we can refer allogamy as cross-pollination. In allogamy, we have two types. The first type is geitonogamy, and the second type is the xenogamy. So now let us first understand that what happens with respect to geitonogamy. So in case of geitonogamy, let us consider a particular plant, two different flowers let us consider. So the pollen grains, when they are released from a particular anther of a plant, so they are transferred to the different flower of the same plant, affecting pollination. This type of cross pollination is called as geitonogamy. Two different flowers of the same plant, if there is transference of pollen grains to the stigma, then we call that type of pollination as geitonogamy. So geitonogamy is almost genetically similar to the self-pollination, or rather we can say that to as autogamy. It does not result in any recombination or it does not result in any variation. So it does not play an important role in evolution, and it does not have its importance with respect to giving rise to different types of characters. Anyway, that is with respect to geitonogamy. Now let us consider one more plant. Let us consider this as plant B. Okay, already we have plant A here. So what happens here? The transference of the pollen grains from, already I have said you, from a particular flower's anther to the stigma of another plant. Alright, another plant, it should be two different plants, two different flowers. If the pollination occurs here, then we call that type of pollination as xenogamy. And xenogamy, my dear friends, let me tell you, is highly important because it results in variations. It can give rise to hybrid plants. It is very important with respect to research. It is very important to bring in different types of characters among different species also. And we can say it is highly advantageous than compared to any other type of pollination. That type of pollination is xenogamy. So it is the actual type of cross pollination, my dear friends. So I hope you have understood the difference between geitonogamy and the xenogamy. Even though both are cross pollination, in case of geitonogamy we don't find any recombination of characters, whereas in xenogamy we can find recombination of characters. Why it is so? Because in case of xenogamy we can find the pollination occurring between two different plants, two different flowers, but in case of geitonogamy, two different flowers of the same plant, though almost they will have similar characters. So only in rare cases we can find it is giving rise to few variations or few different characters by recombination process. So I hope you have understood today's session, that is pertaining to the autogamy and the allogamy. Under autogamy, that is with respect to self-pollination, we have discussed the first one homogamy and the second cleistogamy. And with respect to the allogamy or the cross-pollination, we have discussed geitonogamy and the xenogamy. So there are advantages, more advantages in fact with respect to cross-pollination than compared to self-pollination, as the cross-pollination or the allogamy brings about, as already said by me, genetic diversity. It results in recombination of characters, it results in the formation of hybrid plants, so it is important for evolution. So hence cross-pollination is more advantageous than self-pollination. So I hope everyone have enjoyed the class. Please keep updated yourself for further classes.